Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's your girl, the Brooke Ashley, and today we are here to discuss the Belle Collective Season 1, Episode 4. Let me just say, this was a really good episode. I was thoroughly entertained. So without further ado, let's just jump on into it. We start off the episode with Tambra. She is meeting up with one of her industry friends and also somewhat of a mentor, Ramona. Ramona lets Tambra know that she needs to spread her wings and fly out of Jackson, Mississippi if she wants to be nationally known and if she wants to just have a bigger reach and a bigger influence. Tambra's like, oh my gosh, really? You think I can do it? Do I have to move? And Ramona's like, absolutely. You have what it takes. You can do it, and you need to do it because you're not going to get this national recognition if you're staying in Jackson, Mississippi. I think it's your comfort zone. So Tambra agrees, and then the conversation moves on to children. We all know that Tambra is in her 40s, and she let us know in last week's episode that she froze her eggs. And she's letting Ramona know that she is looking for Mr. Right, and she's looking to settle down and start a family. And Ramona then tells her own story about how she chose to be child-free, and it was because she wasn't really wanting to sacrifice her career to have kids. She didn't want to have kids and then have them be with a nanny 24/7. So she says that while it was a tough decision because she ended up having some regrets about it, she's at peace with it now. And Tambra's very appreciative that Ramona's being very forthright about her experience, and she says in her confessional that she doesn't want to have regrets. I'm just going to say I'm finding Tambra to be very boring. I don't think that she's cut out for reality TV. I'm just not entertained by her storyline. We've seen this same storyline play out on many other reality shows, and quite frankly, I'm bored. I was bored during this scene. I found myself scrolling on Twitter. I found myself, checking the clock, okay, when is this going to be over? Let's wrap this up. Also, her voice drives me absolutely up the wall. I don't know if she took one too many elocution and diction classes and they told her to over enunciate or whatever that she's doing, but it's driving me crazy, and I cannot stand to look at that awful shade of lipstick that she's wearing. I mean, that pink really washes her out. It is not doing her any favors whatsoever. Tambra, if there is a season 2 of this show, I'm going to need you to come a lot harder with the fashions, the makeup, the voice, and the storyline, because mama, it ain't working. So we move on to the next scene with Lateisha. She is back on Farris Street, and this time she is meeting up with a few of the contractors and a few of the appraisers. So they are just discussing her plans, what she wants to do, and she lets them know that she wants to renovate a certain building and she wants to purchase it. One of the contractors lets her know that one of the buildings that she was pointing at was a historical landmark, so she couldn't buy it, but she could rent it out. And so the appraiser is letting her know that it's going to cost her a lot of money to have it renovated and gutted and everything. It's going to cost her around $900,000 on the low end to up to $2 million. And so she's kind of overwhelmed. And she's like, well, damn, I wasn't expecting to hear those numbers. And so she makes a joke about how she's really going to need the other ladies' involvement in getting Farris Street back up and popping. So next we move on to Marie, and she is with her no good, low down, deadbeat daddy son. The son who went off on her and punched a hole in the wall last week. Yeah, that same son. They are at a counseling session. How much did Marie pay this counselor? Because the way he gave her such generic advice, the way that I don't think that they were helped at all. I needed to see a counselor really dig in Jerez's narrow behind, because how he did his mother was completely unacceptable. You know, the counselor starts questioning Jerez first about why was he so angry, what led him to do that to his mom. And so Jerez opens his stupid mouth and he's making absolutely no sense whatsoever. So then the counselor turns over to Marie and starts asking her questions, and Marie then tells Jerez that she feels like he takes her for granted. She says that you are so blessed to have me as a mom because I do everything for you. I, go above and beyond for you. You treat me so poorly, like you just don't care. So of course her son is not saying a word. He's just sitting there looking stupid. And Marie then goes on to say how she had him when she was 18 and she always strived to be the mother that she is today because she wished that she had a good relationship with her mom. And she says that her mom chose drugs and substances over her. Honestly, I feel like this counseling session was a waste. And then when he told Marie to stop videotaping Jerez if they get into it again, I was like, she absolutely needs to record him, because what if he actually hits her the next time? Anything could happen. Like, you need to have evidence. I feel like the counselor was too worried about protecting Jerez since Jerez is a young black man, and it was too much coddling. But I said, hey, if Marie likes it, then I guess I love it. But a mess. Marie, find a tougher counselor who's really going to offer some help and not some little quotes from Google and generic advice that you would give to a 5-year-old when they have a temper tantrum. So next we see Lateisha and Antoinette. They are meeting up at the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum, and it's an emotional scene. They're just looking at the pictures, looking at everything, and getting really emotional about it, and just going over the history of racism in our country, especially in Mississippi. And Antoinette says in her confessional that being in an interracial marriage in Mississippi was tough. And part of the demise of her marriage was the fact that she wasn't really ready to have biracial children. So then they take a break to just talk, and Lateisha thanks Antoinette for coming out to hang out with her, and she thinks that it was a good bonding experience for the both of them since they kind of got off on the wrong foot. Lateisha then invites Antoinette to her second brunch. And Antoinette is like, okay. And so it was funny because in her confessional, Antoinette's like, now, I don't like her brunches, but I will go to support and I do respect her. And so Lateisha just says, I hope that we're getting closer. I hope that, you can always call on me. And Antoinette's like, yeah, I'm always here for you if you need me. Like, I think that we are going in the right direction. So next we see Tambra. She is pulling up to a restaurant and she is on a date with her ex-boyfriend. And so she's excited and giddy, and she lets us know that even though they broke up, they still remained good friends. They get to talking, and her ex-boyfriend asks Tambra, why do you think we didn't work out? And Tambra says, because you got too comfortable. And I was like, you think? Any man who's dating you for 16 years, you're not the one he wants. Because men know when you're it for them, and they will take you off the market immediately. If you're in a relationship for 16 years and you desire to be married, you a placeholder. I just thought that this scene was just so boring and just stupid. Like, why are we watching this? Like, why are you even sitting up here asking her, well, why didn't it work out? You obviously didn't want her for you to be her boyfriend for 16 years and you never proposed in all that time. Like, why are you asking such a stupid question? In all seriousness, let her be a lesson. Do not stay that long. If you desire marriage, do not give these men years and years and years of your life? Please, it needs to be giving folks a year and a half, maybe 2 years max. But again, I digress. So now we move on to the next scene, and it is the big day of Lateisha's brunch. I want Lateisha to stop with these brunches, like for real. Because they are not giving what she thinks that they're giving. Lateisha is really excited because not only is it the big day, but she's finally going to announce her plans to rebuild Farris Street to the other ladies, and she just can't wait to tell them the news. So everybody is starting to arrive. Miss Dorothy is there. She is the liaison of the Farris Street Initiative. And then we see the councilman that she met up with in last week's episode. He arrives. Antoinette arrives. Marie and her sidekick Essie arrive. And Latrice is not there because she was like, no ma'am, I am not attending another one of those low budget, sorry brunches. Absolutely not. And I completely understand because I wouldn't have gone either. So then we also see that Antoinette's friend, Keelan, is joining them as well. And we know that Keelan is Antoinette's white friend that she's known for years. I'm about to read her down because the way she pissed me all the way off, I was too through. I don't understand why she has to be the friend to the show anyway. Like, the cast is fine as is. We don't really need this extra, especially not someone who's so tone deaf and so ignorant as she is. So Tambra gets there, and Tambra is the host of this brunch. And everybody's hugging and greeting each other. Antoinette goes over to Marie to give her a hug and say hi. And of course, Marie has to be really stank and nasty, saying, oh, well, I thought that, you wouldn't really talk to me since, your entourage, you came with an entourage last time. And Antoinette's like, girl, what are you talking about? And then Marie is making digs at Latrice. And it's like, Latrice really lives in your head rent-free, doesn't she? Like, what a shame that you are so fixated on somebody who's not even thinking about you. It's embarrassing. I really do not like Marie at all. Like, she really just irks my spirit. I really hate every time I gotta see her face on my screen. She's just really aggravating. So anyhow, Antoinette's kind of like, girl, can you just stop it? And so she gives her a hug and she's like, no, we're cool. Like, I'm cool with you. I don't have a problem with you. And then Marie finally gives her a hug and is finally like sweet. It was like, Antoinette is a lot better than I am because I would have let Marie have it. Like, girl, I'm just trying to be nice to you and say hi. It's really not that deep. Stop bringing up my friend. Because I would have cursed you out trying to get smart, talking about my friend, and she's not there. Like, I don't play that. And also, if somebody got a problem with my friend, I'm actually not going to be going up to the enemy to say hi to them. So I was like, again, Antoinette's a lot nicer than I am because I wouldn't have addressed or greeted Marie in the first place. But that's just me. So, of course, because this is a brunch hosted by Lateisha, they all get up and start holding hands and reciting affirmations. I want Lateisha to retire this very juvenile activity. Affirmations are great, but I don't need to do them in front of a room full of people. So they finish reciting their affirmations, and Tambra, since she is the hostess of the brunch, she asks everybody to raise their hands if they have ever experienced racism. Everybody raises their hands except for Antoinette's friend Keelan, because remember, she is white. So they're all sharing their experiences, and Tambra says that she had never experienced racism until a few months ago, and then she gives an example of when she was at the gas station, the attendant wasn't filling up her car. They were filling everybody else's car up, and she was upset about it. And I was thinking, at your big age of 41, 42, for you to say that you've never experienced racism until a few months ago, and you live in Mississippi, I was like, girl, if you don't get a grip. I was happy when Lateisha said everybody as a black person, especially living in Mississippi of all places, has experienced racism. Now, whether you caught it or ignored it, that's up to you. But I can assure you, you have experienced racism. So then Lateisha starts talking about colorism as well. And then Antoinette jumps in and talks about how she experiences racism in her line of work because, remember, she is a black woman dentist, and that is a field dominated by white men. So she's sharing her experience, and then all of a sudden, her friend Keelan gets up and leaves. So now everybody in the room is kind of like, why does she run off? Like, she can't hear or understand like what we're talking about. So then Antoinette, since that's her friend, she runs after her. Lateisha runs after her. And then Tambra runs after her. And so she's crying, honey. She really pulled a Karen. I said, it really drives me nuts how white people have an issue with hearing our experiences regarding racism. Like, that's very annoying to me. This is a reality that we have to deal with, whether we are rich, poor, in the middle, light, dark. We all experience racism as black people. We do, whether it's on the job, just going about our daily routine, we experience it. And it's just so aggravating how she wanted to turn it into now she's the victim because she feels bad. And when she kept saying, you know, because white people, we don't talk about black people because we don't do that. Like, I was like, girl, shut the F up. And Antoinette was being way too nice to her. I was like, Antoinette really needs to dig into her behind and be like, girl, it is what it is. Like, if you're uncomfortable by what we're saying, then you can leave. Like, I'm not going to sit up here and coddle a person who is going to play obtuse about the realities of racism. I'm not going to do it. Sorry, I'm not doing it. The same way that I have little patience for folks who want to pretend like colorism doesn't exist, I'm not doing this with you. So then Keelan is still crying. Antoinette's trying to talk her off the ledge. I would have just let her cry, but that's neither here nor there. Another friend of theirs comes over to talk to Keelan, and she's like, girl, you need to come back in there and address why you left because everybody's talking about it and they are going to ask you why you did it. And I really like this woman because she has some sense about her, and she was letting Keelan know, here's the deal. It is what it is. Racism does exist. You know, a lot of your folks do not like black people, and you just have to deal with the truth and the gravity of the situation. And I just love how she was not sitting up there consoling and babying Keelan. So now Antoinette and Keelan come back, and Antoinette decides that she's going to speak for Keelan and why Keelan abruptly left the brunch for a few minutes. And so she says, you know, Keelan just felt bad. She felt like you guys were just ragging on her folks. And Keelan then opens up her mouth. And when I tell you, she really should have just left and not come back because she really made herself sound like an even bigger fool. So everybody is visibly annoyed at Keelan trying to make this a session about herself and how she's trying to play the victim here. So Marie's kind of like, girl, we're kind of past this conversation. Like, it is what it is. We're just talking about our experiences as black women, and it's the truth. But honestly, this really isn't about you. It's not about this. And it's all about my friend Lateisha because it's her brunch and she has an announcement to make. So let's pivot this conversation because you're doing way too much and you're making it about yourself and it's not about you. Now, I can't stand Marie, but I will give her props because I said, thank you for saying it because she was making it all about her. And I was glad that Marie did check her. So now Keelan is upset with Marie, and she goes on to call Marie a nobody. So everybody's like, excuse me? And let me tell you something right now. If a white person called me a nobody, oh, we would have some issues with that. And I'm not saying that that was racially charged, but she needs to watch what she says when she's talking to black people. Now remember, Marie already has a stank attitude and she's already a self-proclaimed boss. So she was not having it being called a nobody. So Marie gets up and is like, who you calling a nobody? Google me. You need to Google me, girl, because I am somebody. Girl, you better Google me. So she just keeps saying, Google me, Google me, Google me. So Marie, we get it. You are somebody. So now they are just going back and forth, and Lateisha's kind of trying to break it up because now her brunch is going off the rails yet again. Lateisha, this is a sign that the brunch world is not for you. Go into something else, sis, because this ain't it. So now the councilman is like, oh, absolutely not. I am not staying for this raggedy mess. So he leaves. So Lateisha is even more embarrassed, like, oh my gosh, y'all are showing out in front of my distinguished guests, like, enough. Marie is just getting pissed, like, you know, you need to escort her out. Like, you need to, like, kick her out of this brunch. Like, she's doing way too much about Keelan. And then Keelan says, well, come here then. And then Marie says, girl, this is not the 50s or 60s. I am not a slave. Don't you ever tell me to come here. And it just ends with the brunch being a total disaster yet again. I don't want to see Keelan in any more of these episodes. I do not need them to bring in a token white friend for this cast. Leave it alone. I'm going to be real with you all. I have a little side eye for Antoinette because Antoinette did not check Keelan the way she should have. I'm really getting tired of this very passive, overly nice girl act. It's running a little bit thin. And I'm going to need her to come harder with her storyline because I don't want to hear her crying, whining, and sobbing about her failed marriage either. I'm tired of it. So y'all, that was the episode. You already know what to do. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And I will see you guys later. Bye.